how easy it is to make. All right, for those that have not met me yet, my name is Loren Valvasory, and I am a friend of Mile and Lola, and that's how I got welcomed into this beautiful community that I found so many new people to share health and wellness, and this is the key today. It's so important that we start sharing all these wonderful things that we have available to us and how we can make ourselves better. Okay, so let's put the aging on the back burner. Let's put disease on the back burner. Let's start living the life we want to live. Let's start firing people that aren't healing us. Okay, let's start empowering ourselves to actually heal. Okay, to stop maintaining disease. That's not fun, and it's not where you want to be, and it's not what's going to be longevity. Okay, what we want to do is maintain our health. Now, can you hear me back there? Yeah. Okay, how do we maintain our health? Well, the most important thing, pardon? No, but let's push it all around so everybody gets a taste of it. Did everybody like the kale chips? Okay, so let me tell you, they're raw. I didn't cook them. Okay, I didn't cook those chips. And did they taste like cheese? Can I tell you there's no dairy? All right, so I'm a raw vegan. I'm a person that has not eaten meat in over 20 years, okay? I had my last 2 kids as a vegan, and I've stayed away from that lifestyle. I know it causes disease, and I know it doesn't make you flourish, okay? Dead meat will never give you anything that you need. If we were animals that ate animals, we would eat our meat alive like animals eat meat. Okay, to have decomposing dead flesh that you have to cook the parasites before they're safe to eat is not nutritious. Okay, let's think about that. And I don't know if we're scavengers, because I think the last time I checked, I didn't eat worms that are decomposing in meat. Okay, because that's what scavengers do. Now, the cheese that I made, I can also make that into a cheddar if I wanted to. I could make it into the cheese for, let's say, a raw lasagna. It's very versatile on how I can make this. Now, I brought my soaked cashews with me to show you guys how easy something like this can be made. And for packaging reasons, I got myself all prepared this morning. Now, everybody knows that I'm a doTERRA person, and I use doTERRA for medicine, okay? But I also use it to clean. I also use it for cooking. So culinary is a big thing. I'm a raw chef. I'm a raw chef that had a raw restaurant for over 15 years, and I owned a gym in Hamilton as well. Sold them both about 4 years ago, and just started doing doTERRA full time just because I love the results that doTERRA is giving people. Now, I have lemon and dill. So those are the 2 oils I flavored it with. All right, so I didn't squeeze any lemons, and I didn't get the dill out. I just used my oils, which is much simpler and much cheaper too. And it has way more medicinal properties than if I was to squeeze a lemon in there, or if I was to use fresh dill. Because we measure stuff by chemical constituents. And if we think of the chemical constituents in 1 drop of oil compared to 35 lemons, that would be equal. So let's think about putting 1 drop of lemon oil in some warm distilled water in the morning, and think about what that would do to your liver if people think that just squeezing 1 GMO lemon helps you. Okay, that's the ticket. Now, what if our liver cleaned up? What if our liver started doing its 500 jobs it's supposed to do in a day? How powerful would that be for healing? Okay, so instead of using lemon, why don't we use something that has a punch to it, a medicinal punch to it that you can use as actually a medicine, and not wasting our time adding just a little fluffy bit of lemon on there. Okay, so the dill as well. The dill, and I can pass these. You can smell the dill. It's just, it's so fresh. It's so ridiculous. So if I wanted to make anything that was calling for dill, not just the chips that I want them to taste like dill, I could use dill on my rice, on my salad, whatever calls for dill. All right. So cashews. Everybody knows how to and where to purchase raw cashews. Okay. The reason why they need to be raw is because we don't want them to destroy the oils that are in there and the nutrition that's in the cashews. Okay, so we want to try to eat predominantly raw. The minute we start heating stuff up, we lose 85% of its nutritional value. Now, I don't know, if you give me $1 and I give you 15 cents back, I'm not sure if that's like a wise idea. Okay, so we want to try to keep our food at basically 80% raw, and we do this by weight. And this is something I learned at Hippocrates Health Institute. So if you're going to cook a sweet potato, let's think about how heavy that sweet potato is, right? How much raw do you have to make that potato only 20% of that weight? Think about it. You'd never eat that much vegetables, okay, or raw food. So when we look at a sweet potato and it's cooked, we have to say, okay, I've got to drop this down to here because my majority of the plate should be raw, not cooked and denatured. Now you can eat raw sweet potatoes, you can spiralize them, make them into pasta, you can do whatever you want with sweet potatoes. I do them into sticks that are raw, I can put them in the dehydrator and I'll actually soften them up a little bit so they're not so tough. So eating raw is actually the way to heal. That's the road to heal. You can't heal with denatured food. You can't heal with oxidized fats. You can't heal with acid. Okay, this is all going into this acid side of your body that causes pain, that causes restrictions. If we think about where pain comes from, it's not going to be from your blood, it's going to be from your sewage system that's acidic. Okay, and if 80% of our interstitial fluid is acid, 20% is blood, why are we so fixated on that 20%? Shouldn't we be more fixated on the damage that acid is burning through our muscles that hurt? Or our bones that hurt, or our skin that has psoriasis, or the acid that's making our fingers crooked, or the acid that's causing all these problems into our brain. We can't think straight, we can't focus. That's where we need to focus, is on the septic system. And how do we drain this terrible septic system backup that we have? Let's think about it. If my bathtub is plugged and it's full of sewage, okay, and you go to the doctor and you say, I feel sick, and they give you pills, and you throw that pill into the bathtub, what's going to change? Absolutely nothing. Okay, it just breaks you down even more. So the idea is, let's get rid of the acid that's causing pain. Pain only comes from the acid side of chemistry. It's not alkaline. All right, so keeping it raw. And again, like those kale chips, you can go get Humpty Dumpty chips, and we know what that's all about, right? Or you can make something like this for yourself for the whole week, and it'll probably be even cheaper than the Humpty Dumpty stuff that you bought. So I soak them overnight in water. And the reason why I soak them is so I want them soft. I want them to become creamy. And I can't do that with a hard nut. It has to be soft and squishy. So I washed them this morning, and I added a little bit of water because I need some water to vortex the machine, or it's going to be way too thick. It's not going to be powerful enough. I put a couple of garlics in here, and I put in a teaspoon of salt. All right, so this is what my cheese is going to be that's going to cover these cashews. Now, if I have any leftovers, and I wanted to get funky, let's say I wanted to make you guys a cheddar ball. Funky, eh? So I could add turmeric to make it orange. Right? I could add some smoked paprika to give it that flavor, some ground mustard, right? I could add a little bit of miso, and that's going to give me the sharpness I'm looking for, and some coconut oil. Now, if I put hard coconut oil into the mix, and I put it in the freezer, I can make a beautiful round ball, and I can dig out the middle of that ball and put salsa in the middle when the people come over. Okay? And again, I did it with cashews. Right? So there's so many versatile ways that we can actually start making food out of real food. Okay? Out of real food that actually does some really good healing in our body. So important. So I've added everything in here except for the oils, and I'm just going to put it in my blender. I'm going to start it, and you guys are going to see how it's going to whip out very, very quickly. cups of cashews, and 3 cups of cashews will probably do 4 bunches of kale chips, okay, which would fill up a 9-shelf dehydrator. Now I bought some, okay, so I'm gonna add just 1 drop of dill. If I put 2 drops of dill, I've wrecked it. It's that strong, okay? And if I feel that maybe 1 drop is too much, I could put a toothpick in here. Okay, I would do that for the cinnamon and maybe the oregano as well. If I put a toothpick in here and what's wet, I could just stir it into there and that's enough. Okay, so this stuff is powerful and you don't need a lot of it. Okay, 1 drop is more than enough. And I'm going to add 4 drops of lemon because I love the way it tastes when it's nice and tangy. Now, lemon is the best cleaner around. If you have a label or anything that's stuck and you can't get it off, you put a drop of lemon on it, play with it, rinse it, and it's right off. It just destroys glue, right? So that's amazing for cholesterol issues. Amazing. Now, if I put my lid on, okay, I forgot one ingredient. This is good for a Caesar salad, or for cheese, or for like any kind of dressing, or sharp cheddar. But if I want to glue the cheese onto the chips, I need to have a little bit of glue. Okay, so you can use maple syrup, or you can use coconut oil, which has coconut nectar, which has a little bit less of a glycemic load. Or you can go down to a Benny sweet that has even like 0 glycemic load and it's still a syrup. So there's different varieties of where you want to be on the sugar spectrum on what you're using. So if I do like say a 1/4 cup of maple syrup and I put it in here and I'll mix it up. Now I'll have this sticky glue to it. And turn this back on. Okay, so it's ready to go. I bought my kale. Now, if I don't de-spine it, I'm going to have hard sticks that are drying in the middle of the leaves, which that's not fun, right? And the straw is the stem. So if I'm putting something in the dehydrator and I don't get rid of the straw that contains all the water, it's going to take me 3 days to dry the kale chips instead of 9 hours in the dehydrator. So you got to get rid of the water source from your leaves. Now the easiest way is by just pinching lightly and pulling, and it'll break right where the weakness is. Okay, so if you have your kale, and I mean you can do it nice and quick and basically de-spine the whole. My son does it in one. He just presses the whole thing, and it's all off. I grow my kale at home. I always plant about 100 plants out back because my kids, who are adults, they go to the backyard and they pick the kale before they eat it. Like if they want a kale salad, they have to go get the kale. And then I have the cream sauce always in the fridge, and they're just making their own kale salad. And when my friends are over and they're watching this, they're just like, because they'll go out with a bigger one than this and come with a big thing of kale, and they're looking at me like, wow, your kids have to go outside and get the kale to make the kale salad. I go, yeah. And then whatever I need left over, I just dry them into chips, and they're good for the whole year. I can just put them in the freezer, and we're good. And kale grows right into January. I can't believe they still give me more leaves and more leaves. And kale is wonderful. You don't even have to water kale. It's my kind of gardening. You don't have to look after it too much. Okay, so I've got rid of, and I want to keep the leaves as big as possible. I don't want to break up the leaves because when you dry the kale, it's going to dry and make crumbs. So if you're starting with crumbs, you're going to just end up with ash instead of big leaves of kale. Okay, so try not to break it. You're just trying to, again, lightly just de-stem the leaf. Okay, now I have my cheese. and I'll pour some into here. Now I don't need a lot because I just did one head, so I'll take the rest home with me. And what we do is we wash it like we wash clothes. So it's not something that you can use a spatula or a fork or whatever to just emulsify it. You have to tear apart those fibers. You have to make it yours. Okay? You got to break it all apart and make it, okay, soft. And then that way it's not going to be like a tough piece of just a few, you know, dried crumbs of cheese on it. You have to emulsify it. You have to work it with those hands, all right, and really wash it up. So, and as you do it, the kale will get smaller and smaller. So let's say I grab 4 heads and my kale is like this. When I'm done, it would all be stuck into this size. And the dehydrator that I have is called an Excalibur, and I fill it up with 6 heads. We'll fill it right up. And when I lay the kale in the shells, I make it fluffy, and I skip a row because I can't put like a heavy row of kale. If you find a stem, just knock it off. And you can't make them tight, so you have to remove one rack and then do a double rack of kale. Remove a rack and then do a double, and then you follow that right to the top. Now, like this, you could actually make it into a kale king salad. Okay, you don't have to dry it. You could actually eat it just like this. It smells and it tastes delicious. I put usually pumpkin seeds in here. I'll put some hemp hearts in here. And I'll even add some cranberries from the health food store, not the ones that are full of fructose corn syrup, of course. I want ones that are sweetened with real fruit juices. And it's a huge difference, okay, whether we want brain damage or not. So make sure that when you're buying cranberries or anything like that, that are tart, because we know cranberries aren't sweet, right? That you're not using corn syrup as your sweetener, that you're actually using real fruit juice. So spend the extra $1 and don't go to the bulk barn. Go somewhere like Goodness Me or Nature's Emporium and buy your cranberries there and sprinkle a few there, and there we go. We've got a kale salad just like that. Okay, so it's easy to make, and I mean, if I wasn't talking, I'd have it done probably 10 minutes ago, right? But again, talking makes a big difference. Okay, so that's how I use my essential oils if I'm like if I'm entertaining. Of course, I'm going to make kale chips, or I might make some guacamole and like on toast, on raw toast. And I have some raw bread that I brought, and also some raw crackers. Okay, so again, using my dehydrator for everything, all the years that I've had that raw stuff, I've learned to do so many things. Whether, if I wanted to turn this into an egg salad, it'd be so easy. All I would put some turmeric powder in there so it's yellow, and instead of making it into a cream, I would have just like pulsed it, and it would have made exactly what an egg looks like when it's pushed down with a fork. And then I would toss it on top of a whole bunch of celery, say some pickles, say some cucumbers, and say some red peppers, but a lot of it, put that on top, and I've got a beautiful egg salad made. Okay, if I want to turn it, like I could be versatile on anything. If I want to make a tuna, then I would use some dried dulse flakes, you know, as the flavor. So there's so many ways of turning things around this way. If I wanted to make cashew milk, I would do the same thing, but instead I'd fill the whole blender up with water and I'd put it through a milk bag and I'd have cashew milk. What if I wanted to turn this into a cheesecake? I would use maple syrup, some cinnamon oil, right? And if I want lemon lime, or if I want citrus bliss, whichever oil I want, wild orange, and I would make it into a cheesecake, put it in the freezer in a pop dish, and I pop it out and I have a cheesecake. And the crust would be probably some dried almonds and some dates and some walnuts and some pecans. They're slightly tapped, and I press that crust at the bottom. So we can make all kinds of things. It's all on Google. You can find anything on Google. So if you go vegan cheesecake, vegan raw cheesecake, it'll give you 5, 6 recipes. You choose which one's easy. You choose the one that you want to do. But it's so easy to make this type of food. Have it in the freezer. I do yogurt. This one's done in a sweet way, and I put two little capsules of probiotics in here. I leave it for the day on the counter. I've got yogurt. Okay, so again, we can do anything without having these big companies poisoning you with artificial flavors, colors, right? And additives that I think we're way up over 450 additives now in our food chain. Okay, and here is the most important part of it is I see people every single day at my house. They come to see me. And the group that I'm seeing more of now, I've been doing this for 22 years, okay? The group that I'm seeing the most of is between 25 and 30 years old. Okay, these are the sickest ones. They've got lupus, okay? Their hair's falling out and their skin's turning purple and their kidneys are shutting down from their malaria medication. Okay, I'm seeing kids that have RA from the age of 3 that are on Remicade already. Let's think about this. It's a different story when you're 65, 70 years old and they give you Remicade. Okay, but when you're coming out of the gate as sick as your mom, you're in trouble. Okay, so our little kiddies are coming in super, super sick. They share your septic system. Let's think about that. They don't have another system. They go in and they take your acids. They take your fungus and your yeast and your molds and your bacteria, okay? They take it all in. And then when they come and see me, they're like, why does my child have eczema? I don't understand, okay? And they can't get pregnant and they're forced through a pregnancy. When your body's saying no. How about cleaning up and how about doing things correctly and saving yourself a whole bunch of heartache that you're gonna endure your whole lifetime by doing things incorrectly. And I also see a lot of autism. Okay, so we're at 1 in 36 in autism today. By the year 2024, we're at 1 in 1. Okay, it used to be 1 in 10,000 in the year 1980. Look at what's happening. Okay, we're believing in a very dark system. A dark system that we shouldn't be believing in. Now, I got into essential oils because one, I was working too many hours owning a gym. I was working too many hours owning a raw shop, and I was working to make people well at the expense of not seeing much of my kids. Okay, and now I can't even buy those years back, which makes me very, very sad because my youngest one now is at Queen's University and I never see her. Okay, and it makes me sad that all those years I took on trying to make people better instead of just, staying at home with my family, which I had the option to do. When I left that gym and I sold it, and I sold the raw shop, I was running both, but I sold them to 2 different owners. All those people that I did a million things for, I was their therapist, I was their nutritionist, I was everything to them. You know how fast things change and the next person comes along, okay? So it breaks my heart that I did so much for so many people and I worked so hard, and I think I worked about 16-hour days every single day for 12 years, okay, till I stopped that charade. doTERRA came into my life, which is essential oils, and when you're a personal trainer and you've got nutrition behind you, you pretty well can do a lot of magic on somebody's body. The only thing that I was missing was medicine. I could use food as medicine, yes, okay, but could I actually expedite healing by using plants and concentrations of them? Of course we can. That's what we used to do before Rockefeller changed it, okay? We used to use essential oils for everything. We can go back to Cleopatra, we can go back to King Tut's tomb, we can go back to the Black Plague. Okay, none of the thieves got sick because they were stealing the essential oils. Okay, so the essential oils were what got us here, not the science we have today. My daughter's taking health at Queen's University, not medicine, she's taking health. In her course that she's taking, okay, in a university, the agenda is that vaccines aren't good for you. The same university that teaches you in the next classroom that vaccines are the best thing that ever happened. Okay, so science can go any way. It's a guess. It's not an absolute of anything. Okay, it's just a theory. So the theory of keeping people sick their whole life with side effects that make them more miserable than they started out with. Okay, so they can keep coming back and back and back and back, and nothing changes. Okay, when I've been working at this for 22 years, nobody has to say, oh, do you have science on this? I don't need science. I've seen it happen over and over again. I could show you videos and videos and videos of people that reversed everything from cancer to rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, and it's your choice. It's your choice whether you want to be sick or not, and what you want to use as medicine. Okay, because what you want to use as medicine shouldn't be something that breaks the rest of your body down. It should be something that enhances the rest of your body. Okay, so I brought my one kit that you can order from doTERRA, and I love this one because this is a medicine cabinet that can replace everything that's in your medicine cabinet. Every single thing you buy over the counter. Okay, so say goodbye to the Benadryl, say goodbye to the headache medication, say goodbye to everything. And let's start using things that will actually give you some side benefits to it. And as I go through it, I'll explain what that means. Okay, so a simple kit like this that could cost you $330. It gives you big oils, which are 15 mils, instead of small oils, which are 5 mils. So you can get a small kit that's $185, and you're going to get 1/3 of the size of oils from the bigger kit. Okay, so you're at $185 or $330. You're going to get 10 oils of the most popular 10 oils that doTERRA sells as medicine. Okay, doTERRA makes all their oils to be ingestible. They're a dietary supplement. Okay, they don't use the poisonous species of plants. The ones that you guys read online that say, oh, if you take basil and you do this, you're going to end up with this. Well, doTERRA doesn't use the basil that will kill you. Okay, they go to their indigenous locations and they get it from remote places. They put the infrastructure in there and they do it correctly. Okay, and even if the crop goes sideways, they still pay their people, the locals there. So you can go to the top of India and get your lemongrass. Okay, you can go to Somalia and get your wintergreen. We are going to all these remote places and bettering a lot of people's lives. Okay, you can get oils from Canada that might say organic on them, but do you think that the climate where lemongrass is supposed to grow, where all the chemicals should be intact, is going to help you get rid of your muscle spasms? No. Okay, or your bladder infection? No. Or your MRSA? No. How can it when it's missing all the stuff that you should have in its side? Okay, so when you get your package like this, and I brought it because I think it's such a pretty little package the way it comes. What you'll get is, first of all, a book. A book that tells you all about essential oils and what they can do for you. Okay, so it's all listed in here, nice, beautiful pages, and it's like an instructional book. What's for what you can use for what. Okay, so we get one of these books. We also get 25% off for the whole year on essential oils. So any prices, they're 25% off. You will get a diffuser. Now the diffuser is fantastic because, again, aromatically, we heal. If we suck into the brain, we know it does either good or harm. Let's think about this. Okay, if I smoke marijuana, do I get high? So it's internal. It's internal use. Okay, if I want to spray Raid into my nose, into my mouth, is that going to do something? Of course it is. Okay, so it really, really, really matters what you're using in a diffuser. Don't think you go to the dollar store and put some estrogen-based oils that are all synthetic, formaldehyde, and all kinds of chemicals, and you're so lucky you bought it for $2, okay, and start snorting it. That's crazy. That's how you get cancer. Okay, everything that you put in your nose should be internal use. Everything you put on your skin should be internal use. Everything you clean your house with, that you're going to lay in a toilet, and sit on a toilet or stand on the floor with bare feet, okay, that should be all internal use, made for internal use products. So if you're having sleeping issues and you put in here some Serenity or some sandalwood and you can't sleep, okay, Serenity, sandalwood in here, you're sleeping like a baby. Okay, if you have issues with asthma and respiratory issues and it's keeping you awake because you're waking up because you can't get enough air, you put breathe in here and you're going to breathe better. So we can use an apparatus like this for healing. Now, I don't know how many people here is on a CPAP machine or have ever seen a CPAP machine, but when we're using a CPAP machine, we're only supposed to use distilled water. Because if you use any other type of water, you're going to ruin the machine. And it doesn't matter if it's a CPAP machine or a diffuser or a camera, anything like an iron, anything gets ruined with heavy metals, okay, with heavy rocks. It stains clothes. right? So what do you think is happening when we drink water that's not distilled? It's adding rocks, it's adding oxalates, it's adding poisons. So instead of drinking distilled water that washes rocks, that removes oxalates, we're actually adding more poisons and more distress on your kidneys. And then we start to see kidney stones, and we wonder, what's wrong with me? Why do I have kidney stones? When you could wash those kidney stones so easily by just using distilled water and stop it from having to clean these hard rocks out of your water. Think about that. I have a distillation machine at home, okay, and it's automatic. So all day long it keeps me with 3 gallons of distilled water always ready to go. I have it pre-filtered because we already have a filtration system in our house that removes pretty well everything. And if I open my distillation machine once a month to see what's inside, it's all sharp rocks. The whole bottom is like glass. The whole sides are covered. The whole burner is this thick, okay, with hard, heavy metals and oxalates that I don't want my kidney to have to clean. And this is after my wonderful ESIL machine that even removes fluoride out of water. I could imagine what would happen if I was putting straight up tap water into my distillation machine. I'd be horrified to see what's happening to your kidneys. Before that water makes it into your bloodstream, those kidneys have to clean that hot mess you just did. Okay, so instead of ruining your diffuser, I would put distilled water in. Okay, again, any electronics and your body should be only drinking distilled water. Now, if I put in 3 drops of sandalwood and I put in 3 drops of balance or serenity in here, I'm going to be sleeping the whole night. So deep, so calm, that when I wake up in the morning, I know that I had a really, really good night's sleep. Okay? If somebody's sick that comes to my house, if I put On Guard or I put Breathe in here, I can kill all the germs in the whole house because all these molecules are flying throughout the room. And they're landing inside my lungs, which that's what I want. I want these things inside my lungs. Okay? I don't want Febreze in my lungs. I don't want Lysol in my lungs. I don't want bleach in my lungs. I know what that does. Okay, so when we start to think about how many ways we can use essential oils to stop polluting our bodies, our environment, our homes, our children, like this is huge. This is huge. This is the first step into getting better besides food and water. So what you get is a kit of 10 oils. The 10 most popular oils. The 10 that would replace anything and everything you could imagine. Sure, we have other oils that will clean out your kidneys and pull that plug on your acid pit that you have going on, and sure, you're going to get better that way. I know you will. Okay, but if we are used to masking stuff because we're in a place of decay, we do need some type of relief. And again, if we can get the relief from something that's healthy, that's where we want to go. Now this morning, I'll tell you guys a story. I've never, ever, ever remembered the last time I vomited or felt sick. At 2 in the morning, I don't know what happened to me, but I've been around a lot of kids that have a virus that they just keep throwing up and having diarrhea. Okay, and I had them eating all my kale chips, and usually I would never react to anything like this. And on the way home, I ate the rest of the kale chips. And yeah, oh my God, okay? So this morning at 2 o'clock was the first time I got up to vomit. And then again at 5, again at 6, and I got at 7. My husband says to me, oh my gosh, you're gonna talk today? But I have this. What's anti-nausea, do you think, in a spice or a herb that would fix this and turn this around so quickly? What would pick up my energy level and not make me feel nauseous anymore? What could I use, say, in my chocolates to make them feel fresh and clean? Any guesses?
Lemon?
Peppermint. But ginger is a good one. Okay, so yes, I could, but the ginger is not in my starting kit. I do have ginger because I love the ginger from doTERRA. It smells like butterscotch. And yes, I could use it for motion sickness. But the peppermint that's in this kit is great for nausea. It's great for vomiting, okay? Like it stops everything. It freshened my breath. It stopped me from wanting to keep going, right? It woke me up and gave me the energy I needed. I don't drink coffee and I would never drink coffee. Okay, so this is where I got my energy back from to come out and face you guys and start to talk and feel good. Now, it is also something that's amazing for motion sickness. How about pregnancy when we feel sick? Right? And we have nausea. We could totally help that way as well. It's a great gum It could be used as a gum because you put a couple drops in your mouth and your breath is as fresh as it can be. You can add it to your water and wake up and feel full of life, like you're ready to go. Now in Hamilton, we have a bi-city, so we have a mountain in the lower area. And I spend a lot of time on those stairs that are 13 stories to go up. Do you know if I put peppermint in my mouth, a couple drops, my lungs expand to about 3 times their normal size. And I can fly down and up those stairs like nobody can. And especially at my age. Okay, there's no way that anybody could keep up. My heart doesn't even go up. So you can see the power of just one simple peppermint. Instead of getting heartburn medication, use peppermint. It's an antacid. Okay, so look at how much we could change. Now the next one that's here is called Digest Zen. So Digest Zen, in Canada, we have to call it Digest Zen instead of, it's called Zengest. In the States, it's called Digest Zen. So we have to fake names in Canada because Health Canada doesn't like the word digest. Digest is evil, okay? Only pharma can use digest. So we have to call it Zengest. All right? Now this is a blend of anything and everything that could help from constipation to diarrhea. And you wonder, how can the same oil, same medication, help from one end of the spectrum right to the other end? So if you have diarrhea, it fixes you up. If you have constipation, it fixes you up. So they're tutoring your body. It's not, I'm going to go there, I'm going to do exactly what I'm supposed to do. I don't care what I break along the way, I'm doing it. Okay? So if we can get better results, again, for anything that's constipation or digestion, okay, or diarrhea, with a simple Zengest oil, that's the way to go. And if you have kiddies, you just need 1 drop under their feet with a little bit of coconut oil, and it'll go into their bloodstream. In fact, if I gave you guys all a drop of peppermint oil, and you put it under your feet, you're going to taste it in 20 seconds in your mouth. Okay, that's how things can enter our body and enter our bloodstream so quickly. Now, frankincense is the next one. Now, frankincense is a $100 oil. So when in doubt, use frankincense. We're going back to the beginning of biblical time. Okay, it's referred into the Bible millions of times about what frankincense did. Now, it's a booster. So let's say you have a headache and the peppermint's not cutting it. You put a drop of frankincense, and now you've got like Tylenol 3 instead of Tylenol. Okay, so it's a booster. It's something that soothes skin. It's something that would soothe anything that was burnt or bitten. Okay, so it's amazing for bug bites. It's amazing for eczema. It's going to boost the lavender that you would need for eczema. You can put it under your tongue because it helps with memory loss. It adds oxygen to your blood. Okay, so if you've got dementia, if you're starting with any kind of brain issues, the first thing you want to grab is frankincense. Okay, you don't want to be wasting your time on a drug and spinning your wheels and getting nowhere but getting worse. Okay, this is when it's time to clean up, because if Grand Central Station is starting to go sideways on you, I would be very, very concerned. I wouldn't be playing the doctor game because you're not going to heal. Okay, you're going to end up in one of those homes in those memory wards. Do I have to stop, Mile?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to go really quick. Lemon, we talked about the lemon in the liver and how important it is to drop lemon into our water every single day, but we can bust through cholesterol issues with it. There's another oil better than lemon for cholesterol. It's called clary sage. So again, if you have cholesterol issues, I would be using the clary sage with the lemon and slowly getting off of that cholesterol medication and using your doctors as your blood level changes. Now, the next one is lavender. Lavender is an antihistamine. Okay, so anytime there's an itch, anytime there's a scratch, anytime there's a mosquito bite, anytime there's a burn, lavender. And it also calms the brain. So it's something that will make you relax like a baby. If you've got a child or a grandchild that's got temper tantrums, it's lavender all the way, right? If you got a child with eczema, if you got dandruff, I would put some in my shampoo, right? So it kills and it disinfects, but at the same time it soothes, okay? So this is a Benadryl. Now the next one that's here is oregano. We all know what oregano does, and it kills parasites. That's what I use oregano most for, is to kill and drop those parasites lower down the intestine till we get to the bottom part, and then just annihilate them with clove. Done. We killed them all. Okay, so oregano is something that will kill parasites, but is also antifungal, antibacterial, and antiviral. Now, if you were to put a drop of oregano, of doTERRA's oregano, under your tongue like you would any other oregano, I can tell you, you won't be speaking for about 2 days. It's hot. It's real. It's not diluted. It's the real thing. I had a guy come to my class. He put about 5 drops under his tongue. He had to hold a towel under his mouth for the rest of the class because he couldn't swallow his saliva anymore. Okay, we're talking powerful. We're talking not diluted. We're talking the full, real deal. Now the next one is called Easy Air, and that is for anything lung. Okay, so breathing. And again, we have to call it Easy Air because we can't use the name breathe in Canada. The Americans can, but we can't. Okay, we're more wrapped up than you can ever imagine. So I've got kids off of their asthma medications that have all the different colored puffers for different times of day. They're all off it. All they have to do is put a drop on the cup of their hand, rub it together, and just count to 25. Asthma's problem dissolves themselves. You don't need steroids into their poor little brains that are developing. Just think about that. Okay, steroids in the brain. Now the next one is tea tree oil, which is also known as melaleuca. Earaches, infections. If you want to use an antibiotic, instead of using an antibiotic, and I've done that a million times, whether the person was going to the hospital for like an ear infection or a tooth infection or anything else, instead of using an antibiotic that totally disturbs your flora for 1 whole year, you will not be assimilating any vitamins and any minerals from your food for a whole year when you impair your stomach with 1 round of an antibiotic. You could be using an oregano, okay? You could be using On Guard that's in here, and melaleuca. The 3 of them together would replace an antibiotic, and I can tell you it would work better than any antibiotic that doesn't work repeatedly, okay? The next one is On Guard, and that's the one that kills viruses, bacteria, fungus. It kills everything. Now, On Guard is something that I would put in my diffuser if I have people over, just to kill out any bacteria that are lingering and left behind. On Guard for a sore throat like strep, you can gargle it. Once you've gargled it for a minute, then just swallow it. Once you've swallowed it, it kills everything on the way down. But nothing's going to hurt for about 2 hours. And as soon as the bacteria starts building up again, repeat. Gargle, swallow, you've just killed it maybe for another 2-3 hours. Comes back again, repeat. This is how you do it, okay? You don't get yourself into that horrible, horrible antibiotic that's going to leave you impaired, okay, for 1 whole year. And the last one is Deep Blue. Deep Blue has a lock top, and it's because it has wintergreen in it. Now, that's a poisonous plant, but it's amazing. It smells like A535. So it does the same thing as A535. It's amazing for inflammation, but it's great for the headache because that's inflammation as well. Okay, so any pain, any inflammation, until you fixed your diet up and everything is running smooth, Deep Blue is the way to go. Now, doTERRA has a special this month where if you order something more than like $200, which would be something like this kit, you will get another Deep Blue, which is worth $45, and you will get the Deep Blue Rub, which is the same thing as A535, which is now another $45. So you're going to have $90 of free stuff because you bought this kit. Okay, you've got 2 of those coming in. And not only that, like I mentioned, frankincense is just that one oil is $100. Okay, so they're giving you a special if you buy as a complete package. So that's all I'm going to say, and if you have any questions, I can answer them for you. If not, I'm going to let Mile get on with his talk. Are we good? Amazing, thank you.